Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on Scrap Mechanic then. With me, Spacefish, and welcome to a new day on this beautiful planet. In the last episode, we started work on this very interesting construction right here, which is supposed to be our new logging specialized vehicle, and we also did a bit of farming alongside, getting a bunch of pineapples ready. And, yeah, that's about it. Got a few trees logged, made a bit of space, because this, of course, out here is also supposed to eventually be the base of our brand new home, which hopefully we will get to sometime soon-ish. But for now, I think the main task has to be continuing on this logger build. And I have farmed a good bunch of materials for that in between episodes. Got a bunch more wood to continue on the build. Got a bunch of parts also to put on the build. And I also very much got a bunch of pineapples planted out here. Now these things I think should be done at this point. I had to leave them in here past one night. They are actually not done yet. You can see it's only 7 AM. We planted those at like 1 AM or something the previous day. I do not have any fertilizer remaining really, so I had to leave them in here. The potatoes that I had already are done. These things are not, so we are also expecting another raise, probably towards the end of the series. But all of that we will take care of later as those are finished, and then, you know, we'll have a bunch more pineapples and just kind of stack them up over a few episodes, and eventually, hopefully, we will have the stuff to get the spudling gun going too. But with that said, just very quickly, if you're new to the channel and you are enjoying this episode, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button, and also feel free to hit that like button. That does really help out the discoverability on YouTube a ton. That out of the way though, let's go and pay attention to this thing here instead. Looking at my inventory real quick, you will see that it actually looks quite sparse because I had to sideline a bunch of the stuff that I made out here. You can see I've actually already got 2 saw blades going, so we'll see. Maybe I can make those, like, find a home somewhere on the vehicle today already. I'm not too positive about that, but we'll have to see. I also apparently already had like 2 suspension modules in here, which I absolutely had no clue about. So now we've still got 2 spare suspension modules, and we've got another 4 right here, which we are going to try and use in the vehicle. I've got a few of these arms already going, which we're probably going to make a bunch more of, depending on what we need. So let's see about that. I've got a bunch of bearings ready, including the 2 for those saw blades up there. And, well, I've got a bunch of other things, you know. I've got a bunch of metal stacked back. We don't have wheels ready yet. We don't have a seat ready yet. So that is a few things that we will have to take care of along the way. But I think with the suspension, some of the more crucial parts are already here. And then, of course, we do have all the woods to also pump into things. Now, what I do want to quickly look at here, because that's something I actually forgot about, would be what a fuel tank costs. You can see we actually only need 2 glue, which we have 8 in here, so very much a doable thing. We will go and get that out underway. You can see just how many more electronic circuits I have. I mean, we were talking about this friggin' pile here the last time, and it's been absolutely insane, and I've just got so much more. I think we will actually now need to take care of some big crates. Another suggestion, actually, by the way, being from Spastic Cube, to get this into a proper, like, crafting cycle where we have the ingoing materials on the one-hand side here, and then we can have an outgoing port on the other-hand side there, which would make things a lot easier. And I think I very much agree with him that we do need to get those things set up. So we really need to, like, I think we need to get like 2 large chests, then we can get all the electronic circuits into one chest, have that stand on the outside here, make a bit of space, move the producing thingy a bit over to the right hand side, have the second chest there. But you can see we need like 5 glue per chest. We don't quite have those amounts yet. We would use some circuit boards, so that's some certainly rather good news. But yeah, so a few more clamshells to farm right there, which is probably something I'll be doing in between this episode and the next one then, in order to hopefully get that ready too. And then, well, soonish, hopefully we'll have a few more crates to actually go there. But with that said then, let's first things first, just a tad bit actually expand this part here out, because the first thing I really actually want to place here is going to be the fuel tank. We already said in the last episode that we're going to place that right there. I will want to actually check here what the alignment of the fuel tank has to be, because I of course want to have this bar filled from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, basically, when you look at the vehicle this way. And where's like the nozzle? Is it here? It looks as though the nozzle is right there. So should be the case. That's the nozzle. No. Where was the that, right? Is that the nozzle on top at the left-hand side? Yeah, it is. Okay. Which, by the way, I just noticed something. We kind of made a bit of a, not elemental mistake, but we made a bit of a mistake, didn't we? We do need a second engine in this thing. One to power the wheels and one to power the blades, just as we do have that going with the drill. So we're going to move that over one to the left-hand side. Now, what I think I remember Spastic Cube actually telling me was that electric engines are actually indeed rather good at, like, drilling down rocks and stuff. So I'm thinking they must be rather good at farming trees too. The thing that I'm somewhat concerned about, though, I mean, we do have two of those things lying around here, right? So we could technically go and use them. What I am somewhat concerned about is that I think they literally just use batteries as if they were fuel, right? And I don't currently not have a way of actually properly making batteries, so we would need the glow poop from the glow blobsies, which would mean that we would need those, and we would need to feed them and farm that, and then put in chemicals, for which we need like a chemical pond, and get something similar set up to the oil pond, which I mean we're going to do long term regardless. And then you need scrap metal blocks, which is honestly kind of annoying, because I would rather use them for different things. I'm really not quite convinced. Like, I'm convinced that it's probably really fast and nice to use, as Spastic Cube said. I'm just not really convinced that the way of powering things is really all too enticing to me. Like, something like a gas engine wouldn't be the hardest thing to get going either, but maybe we're just going to go and place one of these engines, given that we already have it. We're going to place it, we're going to try it out. I'm pretty convinced that in the end I'll probably go and swap back to the gas-driven engine anyways. Just because on the one hand side, you know, it allows me to make things a bit more compact. I think there's some sort of energy storage for batteries too, if I remember correctly. But also because on the other hand side, I'm just really not happy with that way of powering things, because it complicates things for me currently. If we look here, yeah, you can see there's a battery container, so technically that would also require that. I'm not even quite... It's hard. It's a hard question. I'm kind of convinced of petrol just being... I think we're not going to do that just yet. We're not even going to decide on something. I think we're going to probably slap that thing on just for a test run, either on this logging thing or on the miner eventually, just to see, you know, how good it really is, and get a feeling for it. But I feel that long term we're just going to keep working with petrol here. Anyways, we've made a bit of space there, so we'll keep things at that for now. Going to put some gas into this thing, because why in the world not? And then we're going to go and grab our wooden blocks here again and actually close things off a tad bit. Cool. Now, what I think is got to be one of the more major tasks here today is going to be actually setting up suspension bits and bobs, and I have to say I really did like the approach that we had going over here. Well, maybe not compared to that one. I think this one works very nicely too, and you know, it does sort of look cool exposed like that, but I do think I want to adopt this one more. And why I have a block behind here, I'm not quite sure, because technically I guess I don't need it. Wait, no, why am I missing blocks here, or why do I have additional ones there? Would probably more be the question. Unsure, to be honest. Could just do that, to be fair. we're gonna do that. Let's mirror that out here. But yeah, so we're kind of gonna just mirror that, I feel like. We should have a wheel well that's 5 long, which is not the case. That's always beautiful. So the wheel well is basically going to end right there. Let's bring this thing up a bit, and also maybe quickly see where we place these things in terms of spacing and how far apart we put it from the center, because of course it's going to be an important question as to... Ow! Ran into the drill again. This, by the way, Spastic Cube told me last time. I absolutely just went and murdered myself. Didn't think they could hurt you when they're not turned on, but very evidently they can. Okay, so basically I just placed it like 2 from the wall of the driver's cell. So if we check out the driver's cell right here, that is the wall, that is another one, and then we would kind of place the wheel on there. Wait. Now the height is the question. Okay, only 1 up, so 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we are literally going to have 1, 2 pieces of wall going, and then on here is where the wheel is going to be, basically. So this here would be the wheel well. Now I have the proper idea, and we're gonna sort of just reproduce the wheel wells, because as I said, I feel that worked quite nicely for us the last time around, so that's going to be the plan. And this also explains why I had this individual thing sticking out, because it was more a marker, I think, for me, where to put the actual wheels. Now, what we are most certainly going to need to get those wheel wells in place is going to be some of these pipes right here. So let's get those going. And then we're going to go pretty much to start placing things. Like the bearings we already have, so we can use those to mark the position. Let's grab that, put 1 here, and then we are kind of going to just try and reproduce this thing on the other side. So this is 1, 2, I think that's 1 too long, right? 2, 4, 5, yes. So that is basically, well, no, actually, this here is where the thing goes. Right, is it? Should be. God. Always just kind of have this urge to double and triple check everything. I'm very sorry for that, but that's just kind of... I like to blame my OCD for that one, you know. For the wheel well, it's going to end off right there, so that then... Is that the right way to actually do things? I feel like the wheel should more be up here, to be fair. We need to eat. Let me eat something real quick. I have got some blueberries here, so we're going to eat there. In terms of where the actual placement is right here, yeah, I think... placed it right there. Let's just use that as a marker. So, if we have some blocks somewhere, that right there, if we use some blocks, it's literally placed on the 4th block of the driver's cell from the front. So, I think we are going for the same approach. Maybe it just looks off a bit right now, given that we don't really have a proper frame going for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, so here. Yep, that's perfect. Okay, we're going to keep that approach. It looks a bit weird right now, but I'm sure it'll all make sense in no time. Let's hope that is going to be the case at the very least. But yeah, so that, if I can stop getting stuck, being the point then where we are going to place the other bearing right there. Going to pick that one up. And we're going to go and get our metal pipes real quick so we can get the first pieces of suspension strapped on. Then after that, I feel we're going to repeat something similar along the back. And we are probably going to leave a bit of an, not going to call it, not indentation, but a bit of space back here to actually put some weight on, because that's of course somewhat the plan there, to balance the vehicle out in the long run, hopefully. So this is going to be where we strap all that on. Then we're going to go and slap some springs on, which we are going to have to upgrade with component kits eventually, but we can't really do that before we actually have some proper wheels on. We do also, of course, have these things, and that also already kind of reminds me that I do need more bearings. I was like, underproducing bearings, because I totally forgot about the fact that my front wheels do have to turn, regardless of me powering them or not, so... You know, I'm going to make 2 more real quick while we're at it, so we don't forget about that. Technically, we don't really badly need them, given that I've already overproduced 2 in order to prepare for the saw blades right here, but honestly, why in the world not just get that taken care of while we are already here and know that we will eventually need that. So that's that. Let me look into the book. What time is it? 11 PM. For a starters, we should very much be able to actually pick up those pineapples now, so let's go do that. No, we're not. What? You have got to be joking. Reminds me down below in the comments, what was the growth time of these things? Because I thought fertilizing was like mandatory if you wanted to harvest them in sub 24 hours to not risk a second wave. But these things have been in this very pit for like... Oh, I think I need to water them twice that way, do I? Oh, is that the reason why we ran into issues here? Because these things have literally been in this pit for certainly more than 48 hours now. Well, not quite 48 hours, nearly 48 hours now. And they're not done yet. Is that the reasoning behind that? Oh, I think we've got a wave coming. Yup, very much indeed. And I'm absolutely terrible, as you can tell, at hitting these things. Okay, that wasn't the worst wave in the world, I guess, you know, actually already having gotten rid of the potatoes very much helped. I think we had like 4 haybolts the first time, so certainly quite the improvement, but I think not having these things re-watered was the issue here. I did not know that the water could just expire before the plants are actually ready. Well, that's something good to know. I think that was the issue, but I mean, please let me know. Maybe I'm wrong down below in the comments. Let me know if I am, but I suppose that was the issue right there. So I may actually end up getting a 3rd wave on this now. That, of course, does not really speed up our efforts. But at least we were there to take care of things in time. That's something, I suppose. I'm going to go quickly pick up those bearings, and then we're going to get stuck a bit and get a bit more stuck. This place is really an absolute nightmare. But yeah, then we're going to go and continue on actually designing the vehicle. We don't have the most crazy amount of blocks and everything remaining, but I think the idea here has to be that we will in general have a separating wall out here, and the question sort of probably is, what height do we want to have the weights at? I feel like all the way down is probably the best answer that we can have for that one, to be honest. Given that that will have a bit more of an effect that way, just due to physics and all, you know. I feel that's the approach to go for. Now, the one thing that I already instantly dislike is that on the placement of the piston for my weights, I will absolutely have no choice but to make it asymmetrical, which really sucks. Well, that's going to have to be the way that that works, I suppose. Kind of considering to leave this a bit exposed, just for the looks, but I guess having valuable things like that exposed just for looks is a stupid idea, so we will see about that one. What we will most certainly do for the time being is actually shaping out some of these wheel wells. Now the question actually kind of is, how do I want to approach that? I guess we approach things from here. This is going to be where the wheel well somewhat starts, yeah. And then we go to inwards. 3 inwards, actually. We can actually go all the way, to be honest. and the... Well, we actually don't need a bearing up here. How did I design things in terms of actually matching the height? Okay, just... Alright, we will need another 2 pipes out here too. So let's go and make those right here. 2. Gonna pick those up in just a second. In the meanwhile, we'll shape out the other wheel well. Now, of course, this is not going to be finalized whatsoever here. Can I please stop sliding off? Thank you. This is not going to be finalized here whatsoever. There's a lot of parts and bits and bobs still missing. But if we already get the wheel well shaped out, that's kind of going to help us place down some essentials in terms of the design of this vehicle and placing things in all the right spots already ahead of time, if that makes sense. So that is perfect. We will now go and pick up our 2 metal pipes, get a bit stuck on the way, or maybe not for a change, and we will go and set up the other 2 suspension pieces, which is also, of course, going to give me, very importantly, some inventory space, which I'm absolutely lacking currently. So, 1 right there, 1 right here, and... No, I think we'll keep only steering on the front end. Well, I mean, if we really find it to be an issue and we want more maneuverability while logging things, I'm sure we can always change these things after the fact without the biggest of hassles. But for now, this is going to be where the suspension goes. Then we do, of course, need these things out here. Got to raise that a bit more. There goes my 3rd wave then on the farm. Absolutely marvelous. I think that is, by the way, the first time ever that I get a 3rd wave. I had been rather cautious with these things up until this point. But well, first things first, yes, this engine is off. We can already then connect these things. I mean, there's no wheels on them yet, but that's totally fine. I suppose we're going to go and get that all connected. Set those wheels up to be turning the right way. Beautiful. And that is at least the logic part of things done as well. So I hope that gives you a bit more of an idea as well where I'm going with this. Kind of scaping things out. Of course, you know, we will need a bunch more wood to actually get things to a final stage. But honestly, I have to say I don't even feel we're that far off in terms of like the overall chassis of the thing. Like, of course, up front there's going to be a lot of work for the logging area and the logic behind that. And then we do need to do some design and protection around all these wheels and get the wheel well shaped out properly and everything. But overall, I think, like, honestly, another maybe 200, 250 wood blocks and the chassis itself, aside from the logging part, is probably going to be ready to go already. So what I do really kind of already want to look at, to be honest, would be... And maybe we can actually double check here. What I really would like to already take care of would be the weights. Now, the question sort of is going to be how I'm going to set things up back here. But overall, I mean, it's quite obvious the wheel well is going to end like right here. And we don't really need much of any amounts of protection or something, right? We can really just put everything right here. Now, I really don't like the way that I can't have like 2 connected pistons or something, like, or 1 mega piston. Like, I'm gonna have to decide for either this placement here or that placement there, basically, which sucks because I really want the weights to ideally not like yeah, what do we do, right? Or we could all... I actually just had an idea. Well, we'll consider that eventually. Maybe we'll see about that. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, because we're going to see how well my current design works, and then if we have some issues with things trying to topple over on me, we may change things a bit eventually. Alright, we'll see about that. For now, we've got a level 3 piston right here, which we can beautifully just smack right into there. And we're not going to take any concrete for this. We're literally just going to take scrap stones, basically, because that's nice and cheap and it adds a lot of weight. And then we're basically just going to start putting those onto here. And we'll see eventually how that goes. You know, this should hopefully help in terms of making the thing a bit more back heavy. I will have to find a balance here, right, for the weights to not be too heavy in the first place at the back, but also not be too light. And then, you know, the extension radius of the piston will somewhat have to be very nicely matched so that I don't overextend that thing and then I topple over backwards when I have, like, trees in there. So it's gonna be a bit of a... It's going to be a bit of a hassle, and it's going to be a bit of back and forth and actually tinkering with things, but I hope that in the long run, when all the tinkering is done, this concept right here will actually be working out for me. So we'll see about that. The ideal thing would, of course, be to be able to only gradually extend the piston as much as you want to, instead of having only full on or full off, but... well, that's not an option just yet. The one thing that I do really quickly want to see if I can get onto here would be a switch. And we currently don't have any, but I'm rather sure that we can rather quickly just make one. So I will throw that into the queue, and then throw this back into here. God. The amount of stuff this, by the way, I think we can actually put, like, integrate that into the logging vehicle. Would be nice. I think that's going to aid the design and going to make it look a bit cooler, so we're probably going to use that, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so we're going to keep it at this amount of stone for the time being. I'm rather confident that we're going to expand that amount, probably, eventually. Maybe just, you know, get one layer on top of that. But what I do want to do is I do want to go and get a switch onto this thing already. Probably just going to place it up here. Maybe going to replace it eventually when we get the seat on there, just to kind of nicely line that up with where I exactly sit, so it would be like part of the cockpit's buttons or something. But if we press this, nothing is going to happen. Beautiful. Oh, yeah, right. Speed, range, actually... probably want to drive this thing out of the way before we absolutely just smack into it with our thingamajig. And then still nothing happens. Did I attach this somewhere now? Please tell me I didn't attach it. Oh boy. Well, that could be an issue. I think I may have attached these blocks somewhere accidentally. But okay, that is, I guess, something we will have to deal with in the next episode. If you spotted where this happened and where I accidentally attached something, please, of course, let me know. Or maybe I just kind of mistook something and did something wrong. In that case, let me know down below. For today, we can end it off right here next episode, then getting back to actually tinkering with this kind of stuff. I will try and have the wheels ready, and maybe the seat as well, so we can actually get this thing to a somewhat drivable state slowly but surely, and we'll certainly continue designing away at this thing, and also hopefully have a few more pineapples in the back end in the next episode, and, you know, keep going ever after. These ones here certainly done for the time being, so that is definitely great news. But for today, this has been it. As usual, if you enjoyed the episode, which I very much hope you did, please make sure to hit that like button down below. That does, of course, help out the channel a ton. And if you're new around here and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon in order to stay up to date on all the future upcoming episodes. But with all that out of the way then, as usual, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next episode very, very soon. Ciao.